Hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar. I am not going to introduce myself immediately while I'm just adjusting my light. Today, I would like you guys to let me know what is your name, where are you from, and what are you going to eat for dinner tonight. So I'd love to interact with you. I'd love to speak to you, and yeah, tell me a little bit about you. In the meantime, I am Joanna. I come from Cape Town, South Africa, and I currently live in the countryside of Bologna. I am a teacher at Bologna Mille, and I've been in Bologna for 2.5 years now, which feels like a lifetime, actually. It feels a lot longer than what it really is. And to answer the question of what am I going to eat for dinner tonight, I really don't know. I haven't the slightest idea. I have no clue. So as soon as this webinar finishes, I'll probably go look for some inspiration. I'm not the person who plans out my meals always for the day. I'm a little bit more spontaneous. But let me know, what is your name, where are you from, and what are you going to have for dinner tonight? In the meantime, let me introduce a few people that are watching. So Antonio says, hello, I am Tony, I'm from Rome. Perfect, Antonio. What are you going to have for dinner tonight? Let us know in the comment section below. Hi, Sole, again. Sole, tell us exactly where are you from, and I know where you're from, but tell the other people, where are you from and what are you going to have for dinner? Hi, Joanna. I'm from Genova. I want to call you Yashal. Is your name Yashal? Because your screen name says that. So let me know what your name is and where do you come from exactly? Oh no, you're from Genova. Sorry. Let me know what you're going to have for dinner this evening. Sole says, I'm going to eat a hamburger. Remember your article, a hamburger. Why do you have a bunch of sad faces? Hamburgers are really, really nice. I like hamburgers with onions on it, like glazed or caramelized onions. When you cook it first and then put it on top. And I like vegetables, so I'd put like cucumber and lettuce, tomato. I'd make it quite a really big burger. So why do you have a sad? Oh, you don't like meat. Then don't eat the hamburger. Do you have a substitute? Are you eating like a vegan hamburger? You can make that, or you can get those. I've tried vegan hamburgers. I've eaten one with lentils, tomato, maybe spinach as well. It's very different, but it's vegan. It's a substitute for meat. So yes, keep commenting, guys. Let me know your names, where you're from, and what are you going to have for dinner tonight. This has absolutely nothing to do with the focus that we're going to do. I'm just very interested. I want to know, maybe you guys can give me some inspiration for what I can eat. Sole also says, I'm from Calabria, guys, but I live in Bologna and I'm a student. I am a student here. Perhaps you want to say here. I'm on a diet. All those cakes that I made cost me the... I'm sorry, Sole. I'm really sorry. I do understand, but I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe you find a substitute. So I cross my fingers for that. Sandra, you know what? I really, really miss you. When I go back to school, you are probably one of the faces I would love to see. Sandro says, hi, Joanna, how are you? I'm Sandro from Ravenna, and I am a student of Ravenna 1000. No, I don't understand what you mean. Sandro, you are a student at Bologna Mille. You are my student. Sole, my real name is Stefania. I did this account years ago with this nickname. Perfect. That's all I need to know, that you are Stefania. Wonderful. It's really, really good to virtually meet you. What are you going to have for dinner, though? Let me know. Sola says, why don't you make soup or quiche? I can make a soup. I can make a quiche too, but I don't really like quiche. I'm not a big fan of like savory sort of pastries. I don't also really like the pastry of a quiche. I don't like when the pastry is like a little bit crunchy. It needs to be soft for me to really enjoy it. Other than a croissant, but that's breakfast. But thank you. Thank you very much for the suggestion, Sandro. It's okay, Sandro. I know that you're my student. I know that you attend Bologna Mille. Who's a traitor? Who's a traitor? Sole. So, and I hope you're not calling me a traitor. But yes, I think in the meantime, while we're waiting for everybody to introduce themselves, so where they're from, their names, and what they're going to eat, I think we should get started with our focus activity. So for today, we have a focus activity. Maybe I should make this bigger. It's called Big Brother. And I'll tell you a very funny story about this. When I first started teaching at Bologna Mille, and I had this focus activity, before I even started planning to understand what it was about, I was like, oh, this is a very strange one. It's like talking about our brothers, or it's talking about the reality TV show. I didn't understand what it meant. But what Big Brother is referring to is like the conspiracy theory. I don't know if you've ever heard of the conspiracy theory, Big Brother, that there is always somebody watching you, always somebody invading your privacy. Yeah, so this is what we're doing. We're going to be talking about privacy today, not necessarily conspiracy theories. Stefania says, I'm going to eat a salad and ham because I'm on a diet. Everyone's on a diet. Why? It's okay, Sole, don't worry. I know you're joking. Sandra also says, tonight for dinner we are preparing fish because during these days it is an abundant and cheap. Perfect. That's a good reason to have fish. Not only that, fish is very, very good for you. It's full of protein, and that is what we need. We should eat fish at least once a week. Awesome, Sandro. Pretty cool. So yes, let us get started. So, Big Brother. In this focus activity, spying on people, surveillance, and using passives. Oh, Stefania, because I can't move enough. You know what? Let me tell you a funny thing. Yesterday, I was outside, okay, outside of my apartment complex. And I was on the phone with my friend. So I was just standing in the road. I was social distancing. There wasn't anybody around me. And I was busy like walking up and down so that I could get some movement, because also myself here at home, I'm not exercising that much. But it was so funny because in both of my hands, I had chocolate. So one hand had chocolate, the other hand had chocolate, and I was moving. And I felt like such a chub. Like I felt like, oh, this is a typical exercise, having chocolate in your hand and moving at the same time. But I do understand why you're eating salad. It's very healthy. It's really good. I love vegetables. So yes, once again, the objectives for today, spying on people, surveillance, and using passives. So what is surveillance? What types are there? How much do you value your privacy? Do you ever worry that your communications are being monitored? So what I would like you guys to do is to answer the questions in the comments. What is surveillance? How would you guys define or surveillance? What is the definition? And what different types of surveillance are there? We also have another, is Elisa. Hi everyone, I'm Elisa. Hi Elisa. So yes, guys, answer the questions in the comment sections and let us know, or not us, but me. So if I could define surveillance, so what's important to remember once, that surveillance is a noun, and how I would define surveillance is to constantly be monitored. They're like sort of the conspiracy theory of Big Brother. There is always somebody watching you, whether they're permanently watching you or they can go back and watch video footage of you. There's always somebody there monitoring the situation. Stole says, surveillance is used to see what is happening, like those at banks. Remember, change your preposition to at, because we're talking about a location. Yes, it's to see what's happening. Exactly. There's one way to define it. What about you guys? Is there any other way that you would define surveillance? And what other types are there? So Sole suggested the ones at the bank, which would be video surveillance. So maybe they have a camera or a video camera watching you to see what is happening. There is probably audio surveillance as well, where we call that like wiretapping. So wiretapping, I don't know if it really happens here in Italy, but you see it a lot in the movies with FBI, where the FBI sort of connects to your phone line to hear your conversations when you're speaking to someone. So that would be the verb to wiretap. Yeah, so exactly. Camera or drones. Yeah, drones is actually new. So I am sure drones were used in the past, but it's becoming more and more modern. Like a lot of people tend to use drones. Actually, I think there's a really big debate on whether you should be allowed to use drones. Because if they're, oh, I just had a hiccup. If there was a camera attached to it, you're sort of invading the privacy of others. And that is actually illegal. For example, if my neighbor has a drone and decides to fly it over my wall to see what I'm doing, or maybe not to see what I'm doing, but does have a camera on it, it is invading my privacy. It's coming into my specific private area and viewing what is my life, which is not actually allowed. Sole says in the past they used stalkers. They still have stalkers in the present, that there are people that stalk. That is somehow surveillance, but in a creepy way. It's not used maybe for important reasons. It's probably more of a personal reason for the person who is stalking you. So the verb to stalk. So when someone watches your move, and it's usually somebody who's more obsessed with you. What about number 2? I know that Sandro says, I think privacy. So take away your article, Sandro, just privacy itself, the noun. I think privacy is very, very important. Very important. What about you guys? Number 2, how much do you value your privacy? I think that I value my privacy to a certain extent. I live, I'm not old, I'm quite young, and I live in I live and I'm born in an age of technology where everything is available for people online. So I'm comfortable with sharing my life with people I personally know. Um, when companies start to take advantage of that, then I sort of tend to get a little bit frustrated, and then I'd probably change my settings to private. For example, I actually, my phone, my network provider, um, yeah, I'm going to explain. So I have a network provider, Iliad, and they, of course, give me my network, so my gigabytes and my minutes. And the other day, I actually got a call from Vodafone, and this phone call made me really, really angry because the person phoned me and they said by my name and surname, hi, Joanna. We know that you're with Iliad. We want to know how much you're paying for your package. And I didn't like that because that means that my network provider, which has my personal information, sold my personal information to another network provider, and that network provider contacted me. I think that's an invasion of privacy, considering I signed a contract that my privacy cannot be given to other people. So when people tend to take advantage of my personal life, then I get a little bit angry. So I do value my privacy in terms of my personal life. And yeah, that's so pretty much me. Elisa says, privacy is important, but it is more important to defend the whole community. I understand what you mean completely. This is a bit of a tricky one to answer, but would you like to maybe explain a little bit more? What do you mean by defend the whole community? Sole says, I think I'm not such an interesting person. No one would see what I'm going to do, but it is important. I have the power to show out what I want on social media. Exactly. So Sole, I'm a little bit older than you, not much. So I know that you're in the same situation as I'm in, and your life has social media. Social media is a big part of staying in constant communication with people. But how do you feel when social media asks for your location or asks for your permission for your contacts on your phone or your images or your audios? How do you feel then? Do you feel comfortable that the companies are doing that? Or or are you completely fine with it? And number 3, guys, do you ever worry that your communications are being monitored? I personally am not worried that my communication is being monitored. If it is being monitored, which it probably is, because I do believe in that conspiracy theory that there is someone watching us. I'm not so worried about it because I'm an average Joe. So in English, when we talk about someone being an average Joe, it's someone who is a normal person. Nothing really special about them. I am an average Joe. I'm an average person. I have nothing to hide. I'm not committing any criminal activities. So if you want to monitor me, go ahead. You're probably going to get very bored with what I have to say on the phone, or you're probably going to laugh at my sense of humor. That's round about it. So no, I'm not really worried about it. Do I think it's right? No. Am I fazed or worried? No. Sandra says, my conversations cannot be monitored because I always use an old phone and not a smartphone. Perfect, Sandra. Perfect. I like that. Yeah, with technology that it's evolving, people have more access to our, to our technological devices, or so yeah. Hopefully they're not monitoring anybody's phones or old phones. Sola says, for that reason that you said, I don't use the Google system. She's a little bit uncomfortable with it. Yes, let's take this situation, for example, and then I'm going to continue to the next slide. Let's say you Google you write in Google, let's say you're looking for, I don't know, an insurance company or a hair straightener. You Google it. All of a sudden you're on Facebook and you're scrolling, and you see an advert for an insurance company or the latest hair straightener. That is also an invasion of privacy, because what you've Googled is now transferred to another company, and they are invading it by offering you this advert. Does the advert help you sometimes? Yes. Is it uncomfortable, and is it taking things a little bit too far? Also, yes. I think what I Google should not be linked to other accounts, but who am I? Just a person speaking. Naduni says, I value my privacy very much because it's personal and important. Exactly. And hello, Naduni, it's good to hear from you. Sola says, definitely no. All right. Stefania says, I feel uncomfortable when I think that my phone could be monitored. It is uncomfortable knowing that someone could possibly be listening to your conversations, because why? What could you possibly want from that? I do understand sometimes why they would monitor certain people's phone lines, especially if they're like a criminal. But I think that maybe you're just wasting your time if you're monitoring someone who's done nothing wrong. Sandra says, I don't like social media, but if I can, I send postcards. This is why I like you, Sandra. This is perfect. I think somehow all of us just need to send postcards and not use social media. Take it a bit old school. Sola says, yes, it's true. I hate when this happens, okay? Because we're using present simple. I hate it just as much as you do. I think it's just taking advantage too much. Sandra says, getting postcards back in COVID time is very romantic. Yes, it is. It's a sense of, I don't know. It really is old school, and it means a lot more when you send a postcard. It's like sending a letter. I love sending letters and receiving letters and postcards. It's really, really nice. So it's a good thought, Sandra. Good job. In the meantime, let's get to slide 4. So here we have a lot of new vocabulary and the definitions. So what do the following words mean? Espionage, monitor, eavesdrop, wiretap, bug, spy, GPS, and the definitions. A person who secretly collects information, using spies to gain information. A device that allows you to listen to someone's conversation, to observe and track progress, to conceal surveillance equipment inside something. A system that lacks location, or that tracks location, to secretly listen to a conversation. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What I want you to do is to match number 1 to 7 to A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A to G. I want you to match number 1 to 7 to A to G in the comment section. Stefania says, where can you find postcards? All over. You know where I've found a lot of postcards? I think I have a postcard. No, I have a photo. I have a postcard. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I have to look on my fridge if it is a postcard and not a photo. If you go to a vintage market, so there is a town close to where I live. It's called San Giorgio di Piano. And I'm sure you have these markets all over Italy in different regions. Sometimes the older people, like usually people who are 80 or 70 years old that are at the market, always tend to sell old postcards. This place that is close to me, San Giorgio, I think every Monday they have a market where there are always usually some older people, and they tend to sell postcards of pictures, like black and white pictures of Italy during the war, or how the cities used to look before. And yeah, those postcards are really beautiful. So if you want something more traditional, definitely go to a market. If not, maybe go to I don't know, like a cartoleria or a library. Feltrinelli as well should sell postcards, so try them. And definitely the airport. Oh, we've got people answering already. Awesome. So let's check. So we're going to start. We're actually going to start with number 1. So espionage. Sole thinks it's G. So let's see. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. To secretly listen to a conversation. So no, espionage is not G. Espionage is using spies to gain information. Espionage is a noun. Espionage. It is a noun. What about the second one, guys? Number 2, monitor. What would monitor be? This is very much connected to somebody watching you when you monitor. Where, like, for example, let's say you're writing an examination in school and there is always a monitor, somebody watching you that you don't cheat, that everything is okay. Perfect, Sola, you got it. To observe. So monitor, or to monitor, is synonymous with to observe. What about eavesdrop? Sandro says eavesdrop is C. So A, B, C. Eavesdrop is not a device. It's similar to that, not the device, but it's similar to the method, what they want to do. So eavesdrop is G, to secretly listen to a conversation. Have you ever done that before? Like when, let's say when you were younger and your mom and dad were talking in a room and they didn't want you to hear the conversation, but you went there and you put your ear. That's eavesdropping, to secretly listen. Wiretap, so number 4. Sole says wiretap is C, a device that allows you to listen to someone's conversation. Let's check. It could be. No. Opposite. It is. Okay. So wiretap, a device that allows you to listen to someone's conversation. It's not a device. So I'm not going to agree with the device. To wiretap is the verb. To get connected to somebody's phone line to hear the conversation. A bug is a device. A bug, okay, we're not talking about an insect. So the word bug could be an insect. But a bug is also referring to a device that you use to also find information on someone. Here they say it's to conceal surveillance equipment inside something. You usually watch it in like movies with a spy, where they've put like a little monitoring thing under a table that can listen to the record or the conversation, or somebody's put a camera secretly in a room. That is a bug, or to bug. What about spy? So we're already on number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 6, what is that? So yes, Sole and Stefania. So Sole has nearly got it. Yeah, A person who secretly collects information, definitely. And last but not least, we call GPS a system that tracks location. So GPS is also known as sat-nav. Sat-nav, because GPS is the global positioning system and sat-nav is your satellite navigation system. So they're the same thing. So if you hear someone say GPS or you hear someone say sat-nav, it's the same thing. Good job, Stefania. Exactly. A system for location. Great job, guys. So here we have the words again. Eavesdrop, GPS, espionage, bug, monitor, wiretap, spy, and information. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read sentence for sentence. As I read the sentence, I want you to put the correct word into the gap. I'll give you time to comment in the comment section the word that I need. So let's start. Spying and surveillance, sometimes also called are as old as civilization itself. So what word do I need there in the gap? So remember, use the vocabulary that's given at the top here. I'll wait for you to comment. It's in the comment section. As I continue though, most often, Sole, espionage, perfect. Most often, surveillance occurred as a means to gather and collect and to the actions of other people. So remember, Sole, information, because it is uncountable. Perfect. What about the next one? And to the actions of other people. Good job, Sandro. You also got espionage. Wonderful. Originally, it was conducted through the use of individual who stole information or on conversations. Sole says after information it is monitor, and Stefania got spies. In this case, we're using the plural. What would come after spies? So in the gap of who stole information or on conversation. As technology developed, surveillance techniques changed to include things like people's phones, computers, and even tracking their movements with technology. So the first one, so after spies, what are we waiting for? I'm going to give you the one for after spies. Eavesdropped, exactly. Good job, Sole. And Stefania got it, wonderful. What is the word I'm looking for after eavesdrop? So change to include things like people's phones, computers, and even tracking their movements with technology. Remember that the verb to track means to locate. So Stefania, the last one is definitely GPS technology. You're correct with that. But the next one after eavesdrop is wiretapping people's phones. And then we would have bugging computers and even tracking their movements with GPS technology. Yeah, exactly. GPS is the last one, Stefania. So I'm going to reread this one more time with all of the words filled in. Spying and surveillance, sometimes also called espionage, are as old as civilization itself. Most often, surveillance occurred as a means to gather and collect information and to monitor the action of other people. Originally, it was conducted through the use of individual spies who stole information or eavesdropped on conversations. As technology developed, surveillance techniques changed to include things like wiretapping people's phones, bugging computers, and even tracking their movements with GPS technology. So here we have the word as a means. As a means means as a method. So as a method to gather information. And when we use the verb occurred, so to occur, it means to start. So most often, surveillance started as a method to gather and collect information. To gather and to collect are synonymous. They mean the same thing. You guys did wonderfully. So here we have a longer text. So it says, Edward Snowden, a 29-year-old former CIA employee, revealed himself as the source of a series of leaks on the NSA and cyber surveillance. He hopes that by making this information public, the NSA will be forced to change its policies. The US National Security Agency, NSA, has been empowered by a secret order directing Verizon Communications, a mobile phone provider with 98.9 million customers, to turn over its call records. Under the order, only specific information is being collected by the NSA. Internal NSA documents also claim the top secret program, PRISM, gives the United States government access to a vast quantity of emails, chat logs, and other data directly from the servers of 9 internet companies. These include Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Yahoo, AOL, and Apple. These companies have denied knowledge that their servers are being monitored. So here are this is a very good text in terms of vocabulary, and we've got a good couple of questions. Solis says, what is leaks? So when they say revealed himself as the source of a series of leaks, it means to, so when to leak something, it's to give out information to the public. So it's talking about information that's usually not available to the public, but somebody leaked it, somebody gave it to the public because they felt it's important for the public to know. Naduni, what is surveillance? So surveillance, Naduni, like I said before, is a noun. And what it actually is to always be, it's like, it's an equipment or something. Equipment that constantly monitors you. Constantly monitors you. So to watch you all the time, that is surveillance. Let's look at other vocabulary words that might be a little bit difficult. So when we talk about to reveal, it means to show. To show. I'm going through the text just to see if there is any more vocabulary that could be new. United States National Agency has been empowered by a secret order directing Verizon Communications to turn over its call records. So when we say has been empowered, we're referring to it's been ordered. So it's been ordered to turn over, or it's been directed. In general, just told to hand over all of their public or their data and their call records. Denied, like spread out. Where are you? Okay, so to deny something, so it says these companies have denied knowledge. To deny is not to spread out. To deny is to say no. For example, you ask me, do I deny lying to you? For example, let's say I've lied about something and you confront me and you say, do you deny this? And I say, no, I don't deny it. It just means to say no. Usually when we deny something, it's actually because we're holding the truth away. It means that we're doing something wrong. So these companies, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Yahoo, AOL, and Apple, they've all denied knowledge, but they do know that they are doing something wrong, that they are monitoring, but they cannot tell the public, or they do not want to tell the public. Mark Zuckerberg was listened to by the United States Congress. Is a passive. Exactly, Sandro. It is a passive. And I know what you're referring to. You're referring to the conversation where he was explaining how the internet basically works and data, and yeah, I remember this conversation, or this interview. And in the meantime, here we have vast. So vast is synonymous with enormous or big. So vast, enormous, and big are all adjectives. There we are, Solly, you got it. Oh, like I find out that you speak behind my back, and I asked you, you spoke behind my back, do you deny it? Exactly, Solly. Because you're waiting for a response. You know the person did, but they're probably going to tell you no. In the meantime, let us continue. So what I want you to do is to find the passives in this text. Okay, there are a couple of examples of a passive. Remember that a passive, how we structure it, is that we don't really care about the subject. We care about the object of our previous sentence. The object becomes our new subject. So we have the subject plus the verb to be, which is conjugated. For every tense, it's conjugated. And we have the past participle. So that would be our structure for a passive. And it's important to know that when we talk about a passive, if we want to explain or to say who the subject was from the previous sentence, we would always use the word by. By would always relate or refer to the subject of the active voice. So in the first one, we have will be forced. Will be forced. Sole and Stefania also give the same example. Has been empowered. I think there are still two more examples. Let us know in the comment section below. Exactly, Sole. Will be forced is the first one. So yeah, will be forced first. Has been empowered second. What about the third example? Is being collected, perfect. And we have one more. Good job, Stefania. So the last one. The last one. Perfect, Sole. Oh, sorry about that. Are being monitored. So what I want you guys to do is to tell me, when I say will be forced, okay, what passive is that? What passive? So if we start with will be forced, what passive is it? Good job, Stefania and Sandro. You got the last one as well. But if I talk about the first one, will be forced, what passive is it? Is it past passive? Is it past perfect passive? Let me know in the comment section below. Because what's important, it is a future passive. It's not a future perfect, but a future passive. What's important to remember is that it's good to know how to structure a passive, but it's important to know what passive it is. Exactly. So a future passive is structured subject plus will plus be plus the past participle. What about the second one, the second example that we have? Has been empowered. What passive is has been empowered? Sola says, I'm not good with verbs. It's not a problem. Like here we practice, we always improve. I'm going to give you the structure of this passive. I'm not going to tell you the name, but I want you to tell me what it is. So we start with subject plus have or has, depending if it is third person, okay? Plus been plus the past participle. What passive is that before I give you the answer? It's really, really important to know that. So remember one more time that the structure of the next one is subject plus have or has plus been plus the past participle. So this one, in case you might struggle with this, is a present perfect, I'm sorry, Sole, is a present perfect passive. Because we have or has. And the last two, I'm going to put the last two together because it is the verb to be. Okay, as you can see, both of them have being. So we know it's actually the same. So what is the last one? We have subject plus is or are, or is or are, plus being plus the past participle. Oh, I spelled wrong. What is the last one? So the structure is like this. Subject is are plus being plus the past participle. This is going to be the last one that we're going to do. Good job. Remember the spelling is present continuous. So present continuous would be the correct spelling. In the meantime, guys, because we are coming to the end of our broadcast, our webinar, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to go to Myes SOS, which is our Facebook page, to ask us any questions related to English grammar. And we are more than happy to help you or to answer your question. In the meantime, let's quickly maybe go over some words. Remember that to deny means to say no. Vast, enormous, and big is an adjective. When we talk about, let's see, I'm going through my comments. When we talk about espionage, it's to use spies to gather information. Okay. When someone is watching us for their own personal reasons, but it's sort of creepy, is the verb to stalk. But with that, guys, I'm gonna say good night. Have a really, really good dinner and have a great evening. And we'll see you all tomorrow because this was the last one for today. So keep well, guys. See you soon. Bye, everybody.